Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel with Crypto Crayfish. Tonight we've got a really interesting one for you. We are going to talk about how history is literally repeating itself. This is a super urgent video. It's going to apply to the next few days of price action, even the next few hours, and could really help you to navigate the short-term market, which is not something we do a ton on here, but this one was just too strong and clear for me to not point out. It's really, really interesting, and I think you're gonna be sad if you miss it. So really watch till the end. It's a great video that should be able to help tell you where I'm putting my capital use, what it depends on, and what we're likely looking at for the next month or so, at least based on history. So let me show you first what I am talking about here. So the pretty wild thing we're going to talk about is that Bitcoin has basically made the exact same move that I am now expecting and I think is coming right now in Ethereum. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to go to a yearly chart, and if you look here, I've drawn this descending wedge pattern, right? And this descending wedge shows you the lower highs that we were keeping for almost 7-8 months, starting in March with Bitcoin, right? Then we got this breakout, strong retest of the line, another big nice move, another almost retest of the line, and then we really went ballistic, okay? So just keep that in mind in general. Now let's start putting some dates on this so that we can really think about things as they're going to apply to right now. So you can see we've got this move up, almost hit the trend line down, but didn't quite. Then we got a steep drop with a quick pump to the upside and another steep drop into a double bottom. Then from that double bottom, we pretty much directly broke out. And we broke out, you'll notice, on October 14th, roughly. That is almost exactly 2 weeks before the unemployment number of November came in. Keep that in your head. Now, we get this pump up that week. We get a retest almost exactly a week before employment data on the 24th of October. And the employment data, if you'll remember, was on November 1st. So this is exactly a week before. Then we get this nice move the week before, and then we actually come down into employment data, leaving us right about here, so coming off that peak. Then we went down for another few days, and then we rocketed, right? Why is all this important? Well, you'll see that we're actually doing a very similar thing right now with Ethereum. The only difference coming up potentially is, remember, November 5th was the election. So potentially this last little bleed here might be different this time. But otherwise, I think the history is really repeating itself in a lot of ways. So let me take a bar pattern chart here, and we can actually measure the move and then put it over on the Ethereum chart here. All right, I'm going to shrink it a little bit. And let's go to the Ethereum chart here. Okay, so you can see I've drawn the same thing on the yearly Ethereum chart. And we've talked about this, right? We've talked in past videos, especially, that video about a week ago about this lower high structure. And on Sunday, I made a video about whether altcoin season was starting. And I said 55% chance likely it's starting, but we're going to want to see some other confirmation signs. And one of those is a breakout of this lower high structure by Ethereum. And we got that, but we weren't sure if it was a fake out. But now it's looking more and more likely that it really is the real deal. So we're going to put our bar pattern chart on here. And you're going to start to see, as I line it up, what I'm talking about. So let me stretch it out. Remember, Ethereum is more volatile because it's a smaller market cap. So it's going to have we're going to have to spread it out a little bit because the prices are going to actually be more movement than on Bitcoin. I'm going to contract that a little bit. Look at that. That's lining up quite nicely. All right, so it's not perfect. I'm not the perfect chart placer, but this is what I want to show you. Let's zoom in here to about a 3-month. I'm going to move this. And what you can see here, let me line this up a little bit better. Okay, so let's see, what did we talk about here? Sorry, I'm just trying to get it as perfect as I can for you guys so that you can really see what we're talking about today. There we go. That's pretty good. Okay. So you start with this pump, right? Almost to the line. Exactly. We get a 1-2 sell-off with a pump in the middle, creating that double bottom structure. Exactly, right? Then we get a strong move through the trend line. Okay? You can see this. This happened roughly on November 27th. And remember, we're getting unemployment data on the 6th. So this is roughly 11 days, for 10 days, 11 days before the unemployment data. So 2 weeks versus 11 days, pretty close. Then you get the retest, roughly 3 to 4 days before unemployment data. Not quite a week, but again, sounding pretty similar, right? Then you get this spike kind of before unemployment data up to here. And then into unemployment data coming up in a short amount of time here. We're looking at unemployment data in just under 8 hours now. And you can see that we are actually selling off a little bit into this. And that was the same that happened last time. We weren't at all-time highs when we went into unemployment data. And that's because the market's waiting to see what happens, right? And the last one, we got within expectations. And therefore, you saw it sell off a little bit more just because of the election coming up. But then it really rocketed. The thing I want to point out, guys, if you zoom out, this is showing, based on this bar pattern, we're showing Ethereum above $6,000 by, early January. And I'm not saying that you should take that to the bank. Very well could not come true. Macro conditions could come in. All sorts of things could potentially change. But I do think it's important to kind of look at this and be like, oh, I can see how it rhymes. I can see how we're, in a lot of ways, getting a very similar shaped move. And the interesting thing, if you look at the 1 day, we got this crazy liquidation spike down this evening on Bitcoin that dropped Ethereum as well. And I want to point that out to you guys because in some ways that's a little bit what we got last time. Right? You see this massive candle down? We went from, almost 3,900 down to 3,675 in just a few minutes. And then now we recovered some. I wouldn't be surprised to see it kind of chop around, maybe drop a little bit into the unemployment read tomorrow morning. And then from there, I think we really get a decision point, guys. So if you're not aware, the unemployment number is expected to come in at 4.1% tomorrow. That's same as last month. And that, if you get 4.1 or 4.0, I think altcoin season is really going to get cooking. And we'll talk about some of the other factors that we discussed in last video as well on Sunday. If you haven't caught that video, go check it out on the channel. I'll have it linked to this video as well. It's a really important one just for the foundations of altcoin season and for setting you up for success in this crypto bull market that's coming in this next year. It's a great video for beginners as well, just to know some of the things that you can watch on your own that will make you much better at navigating the crypto world. Now, one of the things we talk about in that video is an avoidance of major macroeconomic downturn risks. And one of those is the unemployment rate. So again, I think if you get 4.1 or 4.0, we're locked and loaded. We're going blast off. Maybe not necessarily immediately. Maybe we see a few days of consolidation, but overall, I think it's going to be imminent. I really don't think we have much more time to buy at these prices. If it's 4.2, I think that's a little more neutral. Maybe we chop around for a little longer. In the end, I think probably the outcome's the same. If it's 4.3 or higher, I think that's one of the few things that could actually stifle altcoin season now. That worry of recession, that big kind of looming macroeconomic risk, I think is one of the few things that could actually draw a larger drop and potentially invalidate this breakout out of this major trend line. Now, maybe not. Maybe it's just another test at like 3,500, but I think that could spook the markets. So that's something to think about. As for the other signs of altcoin season, I just want to show you guys that we are really getting some very strong continuation on what we were looking for. So if you remember from that video last weekend, the things we were looking for to confirm altcoin season. First, let's go to our friend ETH BTC. This one, we saw a strong close. And let me add the indicator back on the chart for you guys. We're just going to add, it's called the 50-week SMA. Remember, it's just 50 weeks of the price, essentially overlaid. And this will show you, right? We got this crazy spike back in November. We did get a weekly close above it, but in the end, we invalidated it quickly the next week, and we went to new lows on ETH-BTC. Usually, though, in most cycles, the bottom is in once there's a weekly close above this moving average right here, the 50-day moving average. This past week, we got another close above it, and we said, I'd really like to see another week of follow-through to believe in that. And this I would describe as follow-through, guys. We haven't even hit it since last weekend. We are blasting higher in a lot of ways. Despite the volatility on Bitcoin, we went way up over above 100, and then all the way back down to 92, and we're looking quite strong here. So for me, that's a huge check mark on alt season really starting, especially for Ethereum. Now, could we get a sell-off? Sure, but likely it means that the bottom is in. So we're probably not going to go below 0.031 or 0.032. All right, our next factor that we really wanted to look for was Bitcoin dominance continuing to sell off, right? We got this strong breakdown. You can see it here. You know, this is about as clear as it gets as far as, you know, we had this great trend line and then boom, that is a solid breakdown. And we said we want to see that maintain. We had a little bit of a spooky moment where when Bitcoin broke out of 100K, it really had this nice pump. You can see it pumped from almost 54.5 to over 57 in just a few hours. But now we've bled back down. I really think this is looking quite bearish. I think that's a great sign for altcoin season, potentially starting now. The third and final thing I'll talk about is the DXY, or the dollar. Remember, we talked about if this goes and retests 107 and really is going to look bullish again, it could be real trouble for altcoin season. Probably not for Bitcoin, but altcoins tend to like a weaker dollar. And remember, if you look at it on long term, 107 is a huge level on this chart, right? This is a 5-year chart. We got this strong move above it, but then we rejected off it. And we said, if we get a move back up here or it consolidates and starts to rip back towards 107, it could be bad. And we got kind of a scare there, guys. We got this week, we saw the dollar rise to 106.8. But look, it's sold all the way back down to 105.8. So again, I think unless we get a big surprise on unemployment tomorrow, I think this very much speaks to altcoin season likely beginning, and even stronger if we get a breakdown below. Let me put a horizontal line on the chart. I think if we break down below these lows that we had in late November, right around 105.6. I think if we break below that, we're looking really solid for the dollar starting to roll over. And that speaks really, really strongly to alt season beginning. So again, everything kind of seems in order. For me, what this means, if the number comes in tomorrow morning in line, 4.1, 4.0, even 4.2, I'm probably finishing up loading the rest of my capital. That is earlier than I initially planned. I initially planned on being done by Christmas, but for me, you got to take what the market's giving you. And I'm seeing really clear signs of altcoin season beginning. We were seeing them even last weekend, and we've only gotten more follow through this week. So unless a huge wrench is thrown in the works tomorrow morning, I am going to finish up getting all in and be ready to rock and roll. Not necessarily financial advice for you, but something to think about when you want to be in and what all the signs are really saying, because it sucks to be on the sidelines when you start to see a huge move. As you all probably know, watching XRP, watching SWI, watching Doge maybe, even watching Bitcoin. I think there's a lot of people who miss the move and feel really bad about it. And so I think you've still got time on Ether, but I think you've got days, not weeks. Especially if this unemployment comes in normal tomorrow. Remember, guys, we on a long-term chart, we're not even at the all-time high. We're not even past 4,000 yet. The all-time high is at 4,800, right? Bitcoin is absolutely moving. So as far as things go, we're still in relatively attractive prices here. And I think that's important to remember. It feels like chasing because of this last run, but overall, you're in a pretty good spot compared to a lot of the other coins. Bitcoin, you're buying way above all-time highs from last cycle versus this one, you still got, almost a 25% move, no, 30% move before you even get to the all-time highs. So huge to think about. That is really what I wanted to bring to you guys today. Show you how history was very much repeating itself. We're having a very similar move as Ethereum breaks out of this lower high structure, and show you that really, I think 6,000 by early January is a pretty strong statement. But as far as what Bitcoin's done, it's not unheard of in the crypto market. And I think we could see a move like that. I think it's possible. I'm not going to bet the house on it. I'm willing to wait much longer for 6,000, but I do think it's coming. So watch the unemployment tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a comment or let me know what you would like to see in the future. And I'll be doing an update on really how much I have gotten in ETH and into the market before we kind of take off. So I'll keep you guys posted there shortly. But I hope you're really excited and looking forward to this altcoin season that I really think is beginning, unless, again, we get some scary macroeconomic data tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.